Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun. Good morning, everybody. It is Monday, August 24th. This was likely to be a slow week. We've got, what do we call this? Jackson Hole. Man, that's so close. I should go some year, but not this year because, nobody's going to be there. There's a coronavirus. But anyways, this tends to be one of the slowest weeks of the year. As a result, that doesn't mean that there couldn't be, some big moves. Well, let's just go to the charts and I'll show you. We're dealing with that stupid issue where Jigsaw doesn't, hold on, I'm getting some news. It's about Belarus. Nobody cares. Anyways, you get this thing where it's like, the DOM doesn't show up right. Anyways, I'm getting distracted. I'm already off. Okay, so overnight, Donald Trump announces the new therapeutic treatment where they're using blood plasma to treat people from coronavirus. And the futures opened up a little bit higher and have just continued north. And I mean, look, 3,400 to 3,420. That's a big move. That's a really big move. Maybe we'll retrace a little bit of that, but that's just kind of the thing that's going is there's still an environment where you're getting a lot of breaking news. And we're still in an environment where, maybe they eventually decide to sell. But that's probably the minority opinion or possibility. We're likely to just kind of go sideways for the whole week. So that's E-mini. You look at the treasuries. Now the treasuries are coming off. So now they're starting to push down towards our lows. They've come back off of it a little bit, but yeah, they're going to be pushing down. You can see over here in oil slightly up, but still within the range that they've been in. Gold is starting to pick up a bit again. Gold might be a good one to take this week. I don't know. I'm going to guess that coming forward. Oh wait, we got to look at copper too. Copper is down a little bit. They came off a little bit on the 21st, and it looks like they're selling again today. That's interesting. Anyways, I think you're going to get this thing where it will continue to be in the short term, weak dollar, high inflation. So I think that you're seeing some of that. Although what we're seeing there in copper might contradict that. Lobo Trader, good morning. Greetings from Germany. Another German. I think you're our third or fourth. We got a couple of regulars that are German on this channel this weekend. Looking forward to learning some. Oh, awesome. Well, Lobo Trader, I've got a video coming out when the equities market opens up that is great for new traders. So I hope you look at that. And we're going to have plenty of time to chat today, guys, because this is probably going to be just completely dead. I don't know. Especially now that I'm come in and I see that we're up 20 handles. It's like, that's a tough one. So it's probably going to be really tough trading today. So that'll give us plenty of time to talk. I think maybe we'll work on our manual a little bit, huh? When saying hi, once he finishes wrapping up the news, it's a good community here with day traders who have been doing this for a while. Nice, smart people. Oh yeah. Listen, I've said it a million times and I'll say it a million times more, but I am not the best trader on this stream. There are some guys in chat that I think are really good and really know their stuff. So. All right, let's fix a Jigsaw here. All right. I think that I did it so that I can close this workspace. Close. Can I not do that? I have to open up another workspace first. And what did I call the other workspace? Main 3? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, let's see here. But we had it changed up a little bit, didn't we? Because we got rid of this. Oh, have 2 MES? Oh, right, because I have the other workspaces now still open. Close. That one. And we'll open up another one. Hold on. Or should we keep doing NQ? I guess. CME indices. Yeah, we'll come in here and just change it to our modified default. Get rid of the alert and order columns. Tighten that up. Oh, actually, you know what? We want it to be 9, huh? There we go. Da, 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 da. Yes, that's correct. And just like that. Oh, we had it like really narrowed down, didn't we? But we can narrow these columns down quite a bit here in the NQs. So there we go. Aha. Okay, and I will save this, and I will also save it as main 2. Yes. And this one. Oh. I guess we need to pull up the economic releases again because for some reason it wasn't pulling up correctly. There we go. Cool. And then I guess I messed this up a little bit. Let's fix that. Whoop. Cool. Oh, and we actually want it like this, don't we? Yes, sir. Okay. I think we're good. Oh, why am I not reading my things out? We need to talk. Speculators said, do you plan to live stream during any of the Republican convention events this week? No. I don't think that it's there's not enough breaking news during an event like that to really warrant us getting in and watching it, and we got other stuff going on. I mean, like, honestly, did anybody really watch the Democrat convention? The stats that we've got is that it wasn't very popular. Well, I don't expect there to be a ton of people watching the Republican convention either. Probably more than the Democrat convention, but I expect it to still be pretty uneventful. So, now that I got everything fixed up and I'm feeling a little bit more comfortable, let's take a look at a couple of things over here. still have a ZF in there.
Lobo Trader says good morning at Winston's mom, thanks. I am afraid I am a non-profitable day trader, just retired, and now eager to master new challenges. One is, getting familiar with Ninja script equals greater than screener.
Oh. Screener. So we don't really have a screener in Ninja Trader, do we? Although that might be a feature that they can add. There is a fly in here. Are you kidding me? What are we going to do?
Lobo Trader says market analyzer column.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. So I have a video about using all of the time frames at the same time. And in there, I show you how to use the
Lobo
market
Trader says
analyzer.
yap.
Show you how to use the market analyzer with an indicator that we wrote. And you could take that indicator and, mess with it. What am I going to do about this fly, man? That. Can you hear it? That is so annoying. Oh, man, my face is just like cratered today. He wants that light, apparently. He landed on the camera. Oh my gosh, guys. This is the battle with a fly, apparently. I mean, I have this book. I could probably kill him with this book. But, still over there. Oh, you know what? There's this thing in Jigsaw. I think you can, check the database or something.
Lobo Trader says SRY for having interrupted you. We'll seek this video MTF.
Yeah. No, you're fine. It's really my fault because you guys you talk when you want to talk, and I'm supposed to control when they read. So don't worry about that. Okay, so when I look at this, first thing that I see is that we are so crazy long. Like, this is okay. So let's do it on the experimental account because, Jackson Hole Week is kind of a hard one. But let's see if we can get filled there. Might be hard. Might have to hit into this.
Winston's mom says we vacationed in Missouri once, and they would hang baggies filled with water to discourage the flies. Bo idea why they thought it worked. There were little baggies of water hanging from every porch.
What? Yeah, he is around. Okay. So now that I'm seeing that, let's look at the spreads. How is the spreads doing? ZN continuing to go down. Of course, there was that short period where it steepened quite a bit, but now they're flattening again. And kind of this similar with the other spreads. Similar. Not entirely clear, though, on the other ones. Okay, we're going to try and kill the fly. I can't even find it. Good grief! This is gonna be a real pain. Can you guys hear it? Ollie's not moving around right now. What the heck? Andy Ngo, or however you say his name. Ngo. This is insane. BLM riders armed with semi-automatic rifles have shut down the street in Kenosha and ordered a sheriff's vehicle to stop. What?
Winston's mom says trading multiple time frames. NinjaTrader 8
Yep,
custom
that's it.
multi-time frame indicators and chart styles. Speculator Seth, is this the right video for Lobo Trader?
Yeah, I think so. Yep, that's it. Oh, that is a sheriff's vehicle, man. Look at that. You tell that to stop. Are you kidding me? These people are crazy.
Lobo Trader says super, many thanks, highly appreciated. Ace Trades says that Winston's mom just popped in to say hi, I'll be back later. Winston's mom says hi, Ace Trades, and good morning.
Well, I don't know how a fly got in here, but I'm super upset. Aha, there you are.
Ace Trades says that Winston's mom much love this morning.
Hey, Ace, how are you doing? In here early? Let's see here. We should zoom in here a little bit on this chart. Yeah, that video is a little crazy. They're literally ordering a sheriff's vehicle around. Strategies and indicators don't tell me what to do. It's how the market reacts to my strategy and indicators is what I trade off. Don't be in a hurry to do anything. Let the market prove to you it wants to do something before you act. Yeah.
Ace Trades says great, good weekend, now short 3,420.50. Ace Trades says just. Ace Trades says no reason, just FOMO.
Well, that is a pretty big move up. They're going to have to come back a little bit. I got a fly in the room with me here, and it's driving me crazy. Let's see if I can get it. That was close. I can hear it. You probably can't hear it in the microphone, but it's driving me crazy.
Lobo Trader says making friends winking face lol.
Boy. Hearing
Uzi
on the news
Knesset says
squawk.
wait for the fly to land on a flat surface, lower your hand to the left or right of the fly, just above the surface it landed on, swipe it fly real quick, close fist over fly.
Sunday Driver says only Biden, Harris can heal Kenosha.
Uzi Knesset says take
Where
some
is
practice
that?
but I catch flies like nothing doing that lol.
Really? Oh, that's in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Gotcha. That was where there was that shooting, that police shooting, huh? So that, I don't know about that.
Winston's mom says this day in history, at noon on August 24, 79 AD, the peak of Mount Vesuvius exploded. And today in history, speculator Seth battled a fly. Uzi Knesset says flies take off vertically and veer right or left shortly after takeoff. Super secret way to catch flies lol.
Researchers in Hong Kong say they have confirmed the first case of a virus reinfection. Well, for it to be this long and that's the first case of a reinfection is That makes me think that it's not a big deal. Certainly, market's not reacting to it, and I wouldn't expect them to. Article read here. New York Times. Researchers in Hong Kong sequenced the virus from both rounds of infection and found significant differences in the two sets of virus, suggesting the patient, who was young and healthy, was infected a second time. Here's what you need to know. Work by researchers in Hong Kong suggests immunity to the virus could last only a few months. The FDA approves a plasma treatment as Trump claims the agency is undercutting him. Oh, there's a bunch of other nonsense that has nothing to do with that thing. So, if that is true, what and it's a serious, and it's something that ends up having a serious impact, what does that mean?
Uzi
Well,
Knesset says so basically a cold? Lol.
Sunday driver says relapses happen sometimes. All viruses do that.
do that. It means that the whole lockdown thing is probably pointless, right? Four and a half months after their first infection, and they were healthy at the time. I mean,
Uzi Knesset says it always was.
yeah, but now it's like undeniable, right? It is startling to me that they continue to push this. They continue to be in denial of reality.
Sunday driver
Yeah.
says we will have to get a booster vaccination every so often.
Uzi
Maybe.
Knesset says everyone celebrating their lockdown success will take a shit when they reopen. COVID is going nowhere.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's so. In my opinion, if there's anything that I can take away in terms of how do you fight the virus, the answer is you have to protect your vulnerable population. That's the only thing that matters. That is literally the only thing that matters, is whether the old people catch it, because that's who dies. And when I say that's who dies, I mean that's like 92% of the people that die is the old population. You have to protect them, and everything else is pointless. And this whole thing about like you need to lock down and preventing it from spreading is silly, because the virus has spread so much. It's going to come in, and especially places like the best example being New Zealand, because they shut everything down and they've completely locked down, and now they've had some reinfection, and so they're locking down hard again. And you know what's going to happen is you're going to have to lock down like every other month now till the end of time if you're going to continue to pursue that policy. So I think it's silly. Social distancing, sure. Slow the spread so that your hospitals can handle it. But the crush the curve, stupid, absolutely stupid. And I think that it's pretty clear now that that's the case. But people aren't like keeping up with it. Still think that crush the curve is the goal. And some politicians still following crush the curve. I think is just crazy. And now you come in and you say, yeah, you can get reinfected after 4 months. So in a year, we could all catch it again. Yeah. What does that mean? That means you have to catch it, guys. Well, you know what? Maybe a vaccine will prevent reinfection. I don't know. Maybe a vaccine prevents reinfection. I would argue, though, that at that point, like it takes so long to get a vaccine, you can't stay shut down for that long. Mm-mm.
Uzi Knesset says hospitals can handle it, they always could. Our problem is we followed asshole New York that dumped COVID patients into nursing homes.
I think you look at what happened in Austin, Texas in particular, or not Austin, Houston, Texas in particular, says that the hospitals probably couldn't have. If they had just let this thing explode, like it hadn't done anything in February, that you probably would have had a nationwide crisis. I don't think. I think that you would have exceeded hospital capacity almost everywhere. Because if we locked down and you were on the verge of exceeding hospital capacity in Arizona and Houston, then now, of course, maybe those are places that are most vulnerable. But
Winston's mom says Uzi Knesset that is so interesting. I went Googling and found this in Wired. Flies have only 2 functional wings. Their other pair of wings have shrunken into drumstick-like. Winston's mom says organs called halteres. Halteres function as gyroscopes that help flies orient themselves in flight.
Sunday driver says global mandatory vaccination coming.
maybe.
Uzi Knesset says at Winston's mom every time I snag a fly my wife's jaw hits the floor lol. A buddy at my old job taught me that and after you snatch a fly mid-takeoff, it becomes an addiction haha.
So you're saying I go next to it. But if I get my hand next to it, he's going to fly off. That was close. I almost did catch it with my hand. If I had a fly swatter, I probably could get it. So let's see here. I'm just noticing like the market is so incredibly slow. You could spray the fly with a room deodorizer spray to slow him down. Then roll up some paper into fly swatter. Well, I got this book. This is my fly swatter. I almost got him. I don't know. UK denies report that it will scrap digital tax to reach a US trade deal. I tell you what, I've been reading about the Brexit negotiations and everything else over there in the UK, and it does not sound like anything is going their way right now. Russian Foreign Ministry says to expel Austrian diplomat in response to expulsion of Russian diplomat. Dr. Fauci is back at work today after undergoing surgery last week for a polyp on his vocal cords. The NFL had 77 positive COVID-19 tests from 11 teams re-examined by a New Jersey lab after false positives, and all those tests came back negative. Wait, what? So all of the positive tests from the NFL were false? Oh, okay. Man. No tweets from Trump this morning either. Well, there they heading up. I'm going to ignore the fly. I'm going to ignore the. I can't. The hell. I can't. It's. Oh my gosh. This is going to drive me crazy, man.
Winston's mom says, did you hear the recording of what his sister had to say about Trump?
I heard about that. That's not the first time that she's said stuff like that, though. So I don't know if it's really significant. Yeah. Trying to remember what it was like. It was more of a personality, uh, sort of a argument. I'll pull it up because I can remember. I can't remember exactly what it was she said. He has no principles and is a cruel man. That's right. I think part of it is, his family is probably Democrat. Former federal judge Marianne Trump Berry was secretly recorded by Mary Trump niece. That's right. So it was like, here's how I would interpret that. There's a disagreement about politics amongst the family, and the family is backstabbing you. So more interesting discussion. Kellyanne Conway. Have you seen this stuff with Kellyanne Conway? Oh my gosh. So, of course, I think we all know that Kellyanne Conway and George Conway are like on opposite sides of the political battle here at this point. She's been a senior advisor to Donald Trump, stuck around after that campaign, has been a pretty effective communicator for him, I would say. Although I don't know if she really has a huge impact on what's going on in the White House at this point. But she's been there and she's been around. And George Conway has like started the Lincoln Project, which is like the most prominent rhino, we want to vote for Joe Biden out there, right? Well, um, her daughter has gone like full on BLM Antifa. That's the thing that you haven't been reading in the news, I guess, because it's kids, and they always say you don't attack kids. But she's like a younger teenager, and she has a TikTok, and a lot of conservatives would be shocked about what they're putting on the TikTok. Like she did a video dance for the WAP song, which if you don't know anything about that, is a song about Cardi B squirting during sex, and there's a dance to it where you like get on the floor and what do they call it, twerk, and she's also said like political things on her thing, and she like hates her mother. So, and the girl is literally going off the deep end, and I mean like off the deep end. She's wants to be emancipated from her parents and all of this, which is extremely unlikely, by the way, right? Like you usually don't get emancipated until you're 16, and you have to prove that your parents are like completely incompetent. And for parents like hers, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. So she's a teenager, yeah, I guess, but she's completely bought into the BLM side of things, and so she's been attacking her mother for politics, which I just think is like, man, you either have to be really disconnected from your parent already, because people were always likely to defend their parents. I don't know. Anyways, so now Kellyanne Conway is going to be resigning. She's going to be leaving the White House at the end of the month, and George Conway is leaving his post at the Lincoln Project. They're going to go back home. And I don't know what it is that they're going to be doing at home, but I guess the family is going to be together again. And like, ooh boy, I would be taking away the TikTok account if it was me. If it was me. Mm.
Uzi Knesset says privileged white kids rebel. May as well etch that shit in stone lol.
Well, that's true. But that's really extreme though, guys. Like, I gotta tell you, that is not healthy. What's going on in the Conway family? I tell you that much.
Vlad Stolyarov says I woke up on Saturday and realized I got 5S from 3,352 idea was take profits 3,420 plus on my demo TWS trading platform, and it's already here, thanks to Fang Stocks and TSLA.
That's funny. It's kind of interesting the way that the index worked out because they really, really wanted to get to 3,400, right? For all of that, Gamma was sitting there looking for it, and they just couldn't do it. They tried so hard, but they just couldn't do it. And then they start on Sunday, and they're ahead of it, and they go up 20 points, probably off of the therapeutic news. So here's the thing. Now that they've got that therapeutic news, which again is that they have a treatment that involves using blood plasma. As far as I'm concerned, like, coronavirus is solved, guys. You have a therapeutic treatment, people catch it, we can save their lives. We can now open things up and let the virus take its course because we can treat it. That's really what it comes down to. You would think. So if we continue to see the markets behave a certain way, like, oh, there's a vaccine, no, everybody buy it, like this, this continued nonsense, then I'm starting to go, because we already fixed it. You know what? You smell what I'm stepping in? Like, you get what I'm saying? It just seems to me like you can only have a huge market rally off of the same piece of news so many times, This creepy crawlers market need a stronger virus. I don't know. And then when we're getting news about Novavax too, it's like, come on. I'm tired of this game. Those who loaded on the dip need to exit on good news. Maybe this is just going to continue going up forever, and the top of this rally is like Dow 5,000 S&P 5,000. For all we know. Honestly, though, it's really getting to the point where I feel like a lot of things don't make sense. Like this Tesla thing doesn't make sense. I want to know where is Tesla going to open today? Are they going to start pricing it at the split price now? I think you kind of have to, since you can't get in the split anymore, right? Let's find out. Let's open up Fidelity. Nope, they're still pricing it at 2,000. How do you? I don't. You see further back, apparently. So they had a rally up into 2,000. Now they're at 2130. Kidding me, man? So here's my question now. I don't understand this. Maybe one of you guys has the answer. Who the hell buys Tesla when you won't get in on the split? Hmm? In order to qualify for the split, you had to be on the record last Friday. You buy it today and you held it. My understanding is then you wouldn't, your stock wouldn't split. So you're wasting your money. So why would you buy it at 2,000 right now? Shouldn't the price go down to 400? Robin Hooders who don't know any better? But the market makers should know better. What market maker would take it at that price? Wouldn't it be now that, like, since you're not going to be in on the split, that the price should decrease to 400 now? You had to own Tesla by August 21st for the split, and it splits on the 31st. Correct. No, I understand that part, Gary. What I don't understand is who buys it in that week in between for $2,000. It doesn't work that way. So how does it work? I don't know. You're totally right, Gary. I've never watched a split before. I have no clue. Well, I take that back. I mean, I've been around. I've seen when stock splits. I know that you get action about it, but I've never like sat and watched the chart of one after it splits. What happens to the stock in that week in between? It continues to trade at 2,000. Why would you buy it at 2,000 if you're not on record? You're not going to get the split. Then basically you're going to buy it for 2,000, and then your shares are going to be worth 400, and you're not going to get 5 times the number of shares because you're not in on the split. You're just going to lose, 80% of your value. So wouldn't it make sense for the stock to start trading at the post split price at that point? Right? Shouldn't it start trading at 400 now? How does it? Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand it. Mm-mm-mm-mm. Okay. Upcoming stock splits. What to expect? Best way to understand is no one's willing to sell yet except the bears. I guess. If you were in from before, you certainly wouldn't want to. X date, August 31st, date determined by NASDAQ when Tesla common shares will trade at the new split adjusted price. What if I sell between the record date and split date? If you choose to sell your positions, you will sell at the pre split price on that trading day, and your share split entitlement will be passed on to the new buyer. But if I buy between the record date and the split dates, if you purchase shares between this date, you will do so at the pre split price and will receive your share split entitlement on the expiration date. Okay, wait, what? If you purchase shares between this date, you will do so at the pre-split price and will receive your share split entitlement on the expiration date. Okay, so it doesn't work. It doesn't work that way at all. Even if I bought it today, I would still get my split entitlement on the X date. Okay. If that's the case, then what is the point of the record date? I guess what happens is that's when all of the brokers, record everything, and then if you buy it in between, then the reason that you get your number of shares that's correct is that the broker gives it to you because the broker is holding it. That must be the case. It must be something more like if you wanted to transfer the shares to like you wanted them to no longer hold the shares for you and they transfer the stock certificates to your house. And then if you did that, then you wouldn't be on record. Maybe that must be the case. Still, I have to wonder. It's like, who would buy it this week? I just don't. The whole thing just seems silly. And they're quite a bit higher too, right? They're like almost 10% higher again today. That's insane. That is a 10%, right? Yes. No. 5%. They're 5% because it's 2,000, not 1,000. So a little bit more than 5%. Like, what the hell?
Gary Rich says index
Okay.
funds have to adjust their shares and books by value, MKT cap, equity weighted, ETFs, etc., etc. Vlad Stolyarov says well all ends Friday for options, so maybe crazy moves by end of week we don't know about.
I don't know. Here's what I think is going to happen. I think that a lot of retail players are going to be buying because, good news and yada, 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 yada. And then they're going to be disappointed because nothing happens this week and the markets will just be completely dead. You know what I mean? Which means like you don't necessarily have like a huge market crash, but a lot of retail players lose money still. Mm-mm-mm. Something will happen because of pump news, maybe. This just seems like a really weird situation because I feel like that the market should be doing something, and that's usually not the case on, um, Jackson Hole Week.
Vlad Stolyarov says there's a little kid on the bull in NYC on CNBC website attracting younger crowd. Vlad Stolyarov says saying anyone can be rich.
What? I haven't seen that. I do see the picture of the kid on the ball. He's sitting on top of it, and he's got a mask on. Oh my gosh, I just don't under. I'm here on the CNBC front page, and here's a picture of Biden and Kamala Harris with black masks on with their hands. I'm just like, this is such a
Vlad Stolyarov says it's the best.
what like I'm really starting to believe like the whole time travel theories. Like this just seems so bizarre to me, man. Everything that's going on right now just seems so bizarre to me. The positions that the Democrat Party is taking are crazy. The stock market is crazy. What the heck, guys? None of this, something's wrong. Something's off. Mm-mm-mm. Well, it's better than a picture of some young girl trying to lick the balls with a bowl. It's usually what it is. There's that fly on my light.
Uzi Knesset says I think everything since COVID has just been so predictable it's weirding people out.
So predictable? I don't know. There certainly have been some things that seem like overly predictable. Like you take the cynical view that's like, oh yeah, X is going to happen, but then you know that it's usually not that. But then it happens, and you're like, what the? But there's been a lot of things through all of this that have really surprised me too. People with guns holding sheriff's
Vlad Stolarov
cars.
says I watched the entire Rockefeller eugenics COVID-19 plan exposed. President of Ghana, its best conspiracy theory ever.
I don't want to get into that today. I just this video. Let me see if I can find it somewhere else, because that video that I had wasn't
Vlad Stolarov says
wasn't
it's funny.
working correctly. There was another police shooting in Wisconsin, and there's some protests, and protesters were holding a sheriff's vehicle at gunpoint. Like, what the crap, guys? Kenosha, Wisconsin explodes. Let's read that.
Uzi Knesset says Andy Go and Ian Miles Chung Twitter pages have all the riot goodies.
Yeah. Earlier on Sunday, I had a breaking story on a shooting in Kenosha, Wisconsin, of an African-American man by one or more white police officers who responded to a report of a domestic disturbance. Details on that call are still unresolved, but a resident of a house across the street from the incident captured the shooting in a video about 20 seconds in length, and here's that video. Okay, I've not watched that. Let's watch that. There we go. Now we can. I don't wanna listen to it. Okay, so the police are telling this guy to stop, and he's just completely ignoring him. He's trying to get in the car, so they're going to pull him out of the car. There's a black lady screaming. That's the extent of what they're showing. Was there like, should I be hearing something here?
Uzi Knesset says that shooting is pretty shady. 7 shots in the back? I mean, come on.
Okay. They are shooting. Okay. So that's interesting. Okay, hold on. So let's read on. I always we should not make conclusions about something after just only watching the video. It is halfway between Chicago and Milwaukee. Has a popular none of that. Community tension with the police over the shooting mounted very quickly as darkness fell. Videos are now starting to hit Twitter of protests that have been underway for hours and the inability of the local police to deal with the problem. Kenosha is a city that is 83% white, only 8% African Americans. The incident is going to spark serious racial animosity due to the very small percentage of the population that's African American, yet is an African American who is on the end of 8 shots.
Yuri says how many years you trade?
Well, I've been doing futures since before Donald Trump was elected, but I've been watching the markets for much, much longer. It's just that before that, I was working at a Wall Street firm in technology, so I couldn't like actively trade. Since 2008. Oh man, and they're like starting fires everywhere. Wow. And looting, of course. This is not a big city. It will not take much looting for a sizable portion of the merchant class in Kenosha to close their doors for good at sunrise. Yeah. Oh, that's pretty bad. Okay, but I want to know, did they have an explanation for why they were so concerned about the guy? Was he going for a gun in the car or something like that? All that can be seen from the video is the man exiting the passenger side of the car as 3 officers have their firearms drawn in an agitated fashion. The man walks quickly around to the front of the car to the driver's side door, which he opens. All 3 officers have their weapons pointed at him as he tries to enter the car. One of the 3 officers grabs the t-shirt the man is wearing and attempts to keep him from entering the car. A woman is seen in a distraught condition as one officer moves to keep her away. Reports are that 8 shots were fired. Yeah. The last reports are that he is still alive. Oh. The newspaper describes the incident as a domestic disturbance call with the man trying to break up a fight between two men and women, although that is not clear. It's also reported that the police had first used a taser on the man, but were not able. Whoa.
RJ Wheels says father just said he's out of surgery.
They used a taser on him and he was still walking around like that? Like, what?
Plan B4 Trade says good morning afternoon Seth.
There are too many things in that story that don't match up, man. Like, first of all, the guy is just walking like he's got 3 police.
RJ Wheels says Rodney King beat the taser.
Yeah, I don't know. Explain this to me. How do you have 3 police officers on you pointing guns at you and you just keep walking around to the other side of the car and open up the car? And then why did they open fire? Was he reaching for a gun? I don't know. But that is all like completely crazy stuff. How does that? He should be down already. Like number 1, he should already be in custody, and number 2, like, man.
Uzi Knesset says that's what happens when you have confidence that they won't shoot you.
I mean, maybe that could be it, but like, was he going for a gun? I don't know. But do we see anything about it on the Donald? Maybe they have some theories, or maybe some pictures of him with a gun. I don't know. That one looks like it's gonna be a real mess. Still got about 10 minutes to the equities open. A number of people who think the curve is flat enough. That's funny. There will be more riots in Minneapolis after Chauvin is almost surely acquitted. Yeah, probably that one.
Vlad Stolyarov says breaking news ZM has outage. Vlad Stolyarov says down detector confirming. Vlad Stolyarov says stock still up.
Okay. I don't actually see a lot about this particular one. This particular shooting on, not on the Donald at least. On Reddit. Do we have the name of the guy? Like, what should I be searching for? The guy's name or the name or the location? No. Kenosha. Okay. Kenosha.
Gary Rich says plug in, dial up the amps, throw logic, reality, rationality out. It floats up till it won't float anymore. Anything goes.
Top post is bad cop, no donut. Of course. This is what I don't get. How is it that we've allowed cops to go from he wasn't complying, so I needed to use force, to he wasn't complying, so I needed to use deadly force? Well, I don't know if that's what the case was. I know that they'll claim the car constituted a deadly weapon here because that's their new way to circumvent. Okay, so that is a theory. I don't know the particulars of this case, but running back to your car while officers tell you to get down on the ground is a very bad move. Why the hell was he running to his car? Yeah, that is like,
Uzi Knesset says man YouTube's live chat catches wrong thinks super quick lol.
you guys. Hey, that's what happens when you have a stream like this, and we're looking for the truth. Like the whole thing is I'm part of what I'm trying to show you guys here is the correct way to investigate news, right? Like I think most people sit down and say, okay, I have a video, but we need to look at what are the pertinent factors here, right? So what we have is we have an individual who's being very uncooperative with police. He tries to get in a car and then the police shoot him. So the very first question that we've got to ask is why did the police do that? He was bold enough to refuse orders from police who were pointing guns on him and was walking to his vehicle. He opened his vehicle door and reached down within a compartment. That is for sure like, if I was a cop in that situation, I would be effing terrified. This is why I'm not a cop, obviously. He has a criminal record. And this guy seems like a little bit too unhappy, but execute for getting into a car. No, that's not like, if a cop pointed a gun at me, I would stop moving. What was this guy thinking? He is thinking he is a citizen with rights not under. No, sorry. When the cops are pointing a gun at you, you comply. You kidding me? His 3 children were in the car? No. Well, yeah, I mean, they said that his kids were there, but now you're saying they're in the car. I'm like, okay. Is he? Man. So he's thinking I'm not going to comply with the police's orders because I don't think I did anything wrong. I'm just going to get in my car and drive away. Maybe that's what he was thinking. I mean, that was stupid if that's what he was thinking, but and of course the top post on Reddit is in they're changing the way that that results are coming up on Reddit, and that's like not okay. 11.4K on Bad Cop No Donuts. Socialist RA, I don't know what that is. Police brutality, like where is a more mainstream subreddit? Sort 5 posts from the last week, of course. No. Yeah, there we go. There's the public freakout one. Oh, so I opened up one that was public freakout. That wasn't very much, but Writer's Torch car dealership that had Black Lives Matter sign. Oh my gosh. Okay. News. There it is on news. There it is in Wisconsin. Two more minutes to the equities open. See signs of bulls trying to fight it, but not going. This thread has been locked. Oh my gosh. Okay, so here again, they are saying that he is alive. Here's, well, I mean, video can be deceptive sometimes, guys. Yeah, I'm reading it on Reddit. I'm trying to find the major threads on Reddit to see if anybody has explanations for this incredibly bizarre behavior from the victim. Where are the tasers? He was already tased, according to eyewitnesses, right? And then people are talking about the riots. He was clearly unarmed. He went to the car and went to the door. Officers clearly had time to rush him and tackle him to the ground, preventing the need to shoot in self-defense. I'm assuming the officer's explanation was that the man was going for a gun. How was he to know? I don't know. That's an assumption too. I suppose that's maybe the case. Just a little bit of relevant history. In 2015, the Supreme Court ruled 8-1 in favor of protecting cops from lawsuits for shooting fleeing suspects in the back. This is unless it's beyond doubt the victim didn't pose a threat. Okay, here's the open. Let's pay attention for a bit.
Uzi Knesset says I don't understand why it's bizarre. In almost every video you see of a police shooting, it's fairly obvious the victim isn't afraid of being shot.
You think so? I don't know, Uzi. That's not something I've ever heard of or thought about before.
Winston's mom says, driving while Asian, lol, Gary Rich.
Okay, that does look like the first impulse is going to be a short, but well, then let's come over here and modify this. It seems like that if I don't change it to, yep. It's like it doesn't.
Uzi Knesset says, bro, if someone pulled a gun on you, what would your reaction be?
Hands up. Freeze. Start complying with police's orders. For sure. I can't imagine what a person that they ignore the cops' orders in a situation like that can possibly be thinking. They must be crazy. Or there's something else wrong. Like maybe the man was
Lobo
under
Trader
drugs
says
or something.
quick feedback, so I could import IRTFC, open it in the Ninja's ripped window and also pull it into a market analyzer column. Instead of different TF I can use different indices and value cum. Many thanks.
Cool. Instead of different, I can use different indies and values. I guess I don't completely understand what you're saying. But, I mean, all it really does is show you whether the stock is up or down on that time period, essentially. Okay. So they did try to sell it there. I need to come down here so I can see our cumulative delta and stuff. Do I have this like... Oh, yeah, let's make the interval 30.
RJ Wheels says quite a few. The Tulsa one. The Atlanta one. Winston's mom says I have just received a YouTube notification that you uploaded a video titled, Day Trading for Beginners, Where to Get Started.
Yes, I did. Did I not capitalize the later parts of the title? I might need to fix that. Let's go and grab the link for you guys. Okay, so here is the link. If you guys want to watch my new video, it's a really short one. It's only like 5 minutes. So you could pull that up on the side here. More people that watch it right away. If you watch it right away, that really helps the video out. And
Nathan S says I told you to buy everything, Dave.
Oh, thanks.
Lobo Trader says you helped me a lot. Thanks, Seth. That's my point. Just saying.
Oh, I got
thanks, slightly smiling face.
I thought you were saying like here's
Nathan
something
S
that
says you didn't listen, Dave.
you could improve it. Anyways,
Winston's mom says, clip video timestamp, day trading for beginners.
yes. Oh, she shouldn't read that out. I wonder why she read that out. Okay. Anyways, the more people that watch the video right away, the better the video does. So if you just go click on that link and watch it, and the point of the video is basically to encourage new day traders to focus more on how the market actually functions and the fundamentals behind things rather than um, some technical analysis strategy at the beginning. So yeah, give that a watch. This is kind of like I've seen a trillion posts on Reddit about this, and here's should be your answer every time. So every time that you see guys on Reddit, just link to that video. I'm not allowed to link to videos and comments on the day trading subreddits. That's against the rules. So maybe I should make some copy pasta. Okay. So it seems like it's a real battle. The shorts are making some progress, though. You know what? I got some problems with the way this is set up. I need to fix. Option Vista. Should be like a blue, and the cell should be like an orange. Oh, here we go. I'd like to note that there's a way to actually say that it's up there. Okay, and where's my cornflower blue? Yeah. That should make it a little bit easier to see. Well, I mean, it's selling, but look, they're just they're having a hard time even getting 3 points below the open. Mm, 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 mm. In fact, the book actually flipped positive a little bit there. See if it turns back down or not. Probably wouldn't take much. Hmm. All they have to do is claim that they thought they saw a weapon and it'll be justified. Probably true. From the police cases that I've seen, that's true. Why did they not stop him from entering the vehicle? I don't know what they could have done to stop him. You have your gun out and he doesn't do anything. I mean, the thing is that there must have been real problems. I wonder what happened before that portion of the video was shown, because why did they have their guns out in the first place? That's another big question that I don't think people are asking that I think would be important. Mm, what's the tick doing? So the tick started pretty bullish, but this just come back down to equal. Should disobeying cops should not be an automatic justification for murder. I'll I think that there's a certain obviously if you just disobey any order that shouldn't mean that you should kill, but there's like a freaking limit, guys. Like you can only disobey officers' orders so much before they have to consider you dangerous. Maybe this dude is high. That could be. Hmm.
Winston's mom says I am watching the video now. Good content. I might suggest you position the trader's gonna trade coffee mug so it is center screen.
Yeah, you know what? That it didn't quite show where I wanted it to be, and I just didn't bother fixing it. It was like when I watched afterwards, I was like, oh, that it moved. It wasn't quite where because before you could see it, but yeah, I don't know, and I don't know why it wasn't as visible as last time, but it's there. Like you notice it, you're like, what's that? 99 times out of 100, anyone going into their vehicle to grab something after the cops have given orders to stop, and I'll interject in here, and have their weapons pulled on you already. They aren't grabbing a bouquet of flowers, just saying. Seriously. And he is right. It's a heavily edited video. Article posted in the comments say they did tase him before the shooting. Yeah, I agree. This is highly suspicious. I don't think that you can call it a murder. Hmm. I guess the main question here is will the cops get
Yuri says any idea about
um
gold? Vlad Stolyarov says
well,
going to be somewhat rational and exit my long 5S here from demo.
so Yuri, I would say that in the midterm, like over the next few months to years, that gold probably is a pretty good buy because what you're going to continue to see is the dollar is overbought. The dollar is coming down, and the environment that we're in right now, at least in the short to midterm, is an inflationary environment. And so I think that yeah, you're pretty likely to see gold continue to move up. Whether it's going to do that today or not, I'm not so sure. I mean, it had an okay run from the open, but now it's moving back down. I don't really know. I have found that gold tends to be extremely unreliable as a scalp. It just does not necessarily behave the way that you think it might, or that I think it might. Some of the dynamics that are going on there are maybe a little
Yuri says
counterintuitive.
6.18.
Yeah, so it's 1950 right now in gold. Yeah, where's the version that doesn't cut off all the parts that happened before, and how long before that gets posted? Yeah.
Vlad Stolyarov says NQ wild.
Okay, so here's the question.
Vlad Stolyarov says maybe thanks to ZM shorting too.
Hmm.
Vlad Stolyarov says it went against them.
They got like the initial move down was a sell, and we got about 3,000 contracts short, which isn't a ton, but it was kind of slow, and they've come back up. I think that the sellers might try another push. We'll see, but so far it's kind of being not the most positive action. I don't think that I would be risking real capital on this one.
Vlad Stolyarov says I didn't want to take too much risk even on demo, so I exited 3,420.5.
Yeah.
Vlad Stolyarov says lock in profits from my 3,352.
Anyways, if the cops are telling you to, if somebody is disobeying orders from a cop and then they get in their car, does that justify shooting them? Because I think that some people would want to say no. But then I think when you start to think about it and the officer's point of view and everything, I'm not so sure that you can just let a non-compliant potentially dangerous individual just get in a car and drive off, you know?
Vlad Stolyarov says TSLA getting selling.
Yeah, I'm sure that. I mean, look, they're up 5%. There's no way they were going to hold that one, right? Let's come back out a little bit. They closed yesterday at 2040, so let's wait. Let's see if when Tesla fills a gap, what they do after that. I don't really see much reason for them to continue to hold these prices, but it defies all reason. There's no way to make, in my opinion, there's no way to make money on this one. You short it, it's gonna mess you up. You short it, and you get lucky, you're actually not gonna make that much because of the implied volatility on it.
Vlad Stolyarov
Yeah,
says option contracts are like 8,000 per one to do anything in money.
yeah, it's ridiculous.
Gary Rich says if you have 50 kilos of yayo, yes, get in the car and drive fast.
Oh man. So I think this guy on Reddit, I think he has it right. Fun fact: if police have guns pulled on you,
Vlad Stolyarov says yayo.
if police have guns pulled on you and you actively walk away towards your car door, refusing orders and open the door where anyone can store a weapon, you will be shot, regardless of your skin. I think he's right. I think that if I was in a situation like that and I was non-compliant and I went into my car, I think they would shoot me. I think that they would probably, I mean, that guy was a pretty big guy. That's one of the things I'm finding interesting here is that all of these incidents are from really big guys. You notice that? They would shoot me. No question. And I probably wouldn't still be alive in the hospital either.
Yuri says as VIX up mean S&P 500 or stocks goes down.
It's up. I wouldn't really consider it up. I mean, they closed on Friday at 2240 or so. They're 2255, but they opened on Friday at like 23. So I would say that overall VIX is still down, and you might be a little, probably we would have opened lower, like at 2220, maybe even 22, if it was not for the huge increase in price overnight. So because of that, you are going to get a little bit of options hedging, and that's probably why the VIX is up. You got to remember that the VIX is about more about price movement than it
Yuri
is
says
about.
you need pick grin.
Yeah. Because I think that we often want to say that the VIX is about, when things get scary, then the VIX goes up. And that's usually the case, but that's not what it's trying to calculate,
Vlad
right?
Stolyarov says VIX is an indicator for me not to get involved when it's too low.
Yeah, when it's too low, you're right. When it gets too low, then day trading totally sucks. And we are going to get into this period where, because of the political uncertainty surrounding the election, that the VIX isn't going to keep going, is going to hold at a certain spot and maybe even increase.
RJ Wheels says that's what happened in the Tulsa shooting.
I don't remember what the Tulsa shooting even was. Was that the one with the Wendy's? Was that the one in the Wendy's? You're right. There where they got they tased him and he was still running away and stuff. I think I understand what you guys are getting at. I guess what you're trying to say is that some people now believe that they can just ignore cops' orders and that public pressure will take their side, and so they shouldn't be compliant. That's kind of an irrational thing to believe, but maybe some people really are thinking that way. I don't know. You really gotta wonder what a guy is thinking that man. The other thing is because you were saying they're not afraid of the police. It could just be that you are so headstrong, right? So if you're in a situation like that, you think you're in the right and you don't think that the cops have any reason to arrest or detain you, and you start walking off, you might be afraid and you might even think that you be killed, but your own pride says that there's no way that I'm going to kneel before these pigs, sort of a thing. Right? That's probably a let's just say that that's a possibility too. We'll see what the guy says because he's alive. So that should be able to give us some insight into what these guys are thinking, right? Yeah, nobody has a full clip. Okay.
Yuri says, do you like any specifics market or sector grin?
Well, Yuri, I am very much about the treasury market. I've been trading equity indexes more lately because treasuries just haven't been a very good trade lately. So the issue that you have in treasuries right now is that normally treasuries are very, very coupled to Federal
RJ
Reserve
Wheels
policy.
says no 4 years ago. Female cop confronting a guy who left his car in middle of road. Was high on meth.
We'll read the rest of that out when we're. What was I saying? Oh yeah, treasuries are usually driven by future expectations about the Federal Reserve and the economy and so forth. But now the Federal Reserve is going to keep the treasuries low for forever. That dynamic isn't playing out as much. And so you've had the main thing that I would look at to try and determine which way the treasuries are going is gone. And so it's a much more about the capital flows in the markets, where different countries are doing and where the currencies are going and things like that. And I don't understand a whole lot about that. And so the treasury movement in treasuries to me looks really random sometimes. And overall, it just hasn't been a very good trade. So I've been much more focused on the equity indexes lately because of that. And it might be like that for a few years, but I still really, really try to keep up on the treasuries, right? And I would highly recommend doing so as well, because there's so much about the treasury market that has an influence on other markets that not a lot of traders understand. And if you understand those things, that's a huge leg up. You can learn so much from studying the treasuries. So that's kind of why I start there. Start with treasuries, and then equity indexes is, I think, kind of the easiest thing to trade. But in terms of finding good information and developing an informational edge on the equity indexes, I think that's a more fertile market than a lot of other places. Anyways, it was high in meth.
RJ Wheels says she said stop. He turned and went back and opened car door and leaned in.
Oh yes, I remember that one
RJ
now.
Wheels says the Atlanta guy. Who fights with two cops?
Yeah. Well, the whole thing is just a little crazy, don't you think? That video just like there's the thing. The people are saying, why didn't they tackle him? They had like two cops on him, like pulling his shirt and stuff. Like, come on. They were. It seems to me that those cops were outmatched. You know? Hmm. Oh my gosh. So I'm reading in a thread about a car dealership was torched by rioters in is it Wisconsin? And the firefighters were told to stand down because the rioters were between them and the fire. And so they were told to just let it burn because the rioters wanted it to burn. Oh man, that is so I don't think these people realize what they're doing, man. So like Kenosha, they said that Kenosha is more than 50% white, or sorry, more than like 90% white. Oh, I'm sorry, man, but you want to create racism? Have a small minority of your community run around and start burning everything. Holy shit. Dude, dumbest thing you can possibly do. Oh, I the whole watching this whole thing, it's like a train wreck in slow motion. Like that the things that are happening are bad and are bad for the end of like I'm sorry if you're African American, I'm just telling you, don't riot, don't burn businesses down. That doesn't help you. It makes the situation so much worse. And it's like you're just watching a slow motion train wreck and there's nothing you can do about it. Oh. And I wonder because wasn't Wisconsin the one state that was kind of blue that was kind of a little bit more leaning Donald Trump than the rest of them? I wonder how that's going to affect polling in there because it seems that in the Twin Cities that it seems to have helped Donald Trump, and especially I don't know this one. I think that a lot of people are looking at this and saying, "Oh, this is a clear cut case of police overreach." I'm looking through here. I'm not so sure about that. I see both sides of the argument. I don't think that you can play that. Yeah, I see two sides, and there's no way that they're going to agree. You know what I mean?
Mike Salisbury says maybe this will make people who were not racist now.
It will. It totally will. Dude, think about it. Like, I wouldn't say that I'm like close friends with any African American people, but I certainly know some people that I think are really great people that are African American. So I think of any of my friends, I know that their my hearts and minds are in the right spot, and I'm not so concerned about that. But if I just run across a random guy on the street, like these are the people that are going and burning things, you know? That's a thought that's just gonna go through your head. That's just the way that brains are wired, and it's turning into like you don't know if those are the type of people that are going to be going around and burning your businesses down, and especially if there's riots. Like straight up right now, if I was a business owner and I close my business doors and any any writer, regardless of what color they were, I guess, comes into my business, they're dead. I would protect my business. And then that and now then it's like a war at that point, right? Ooh, they tear gas people in Kenosha. It was so funny. Okay, I don't know if I consider that funny, but By your thinking, I would think trading on information doing grain sifts or meats would be easier. Become an expert in one of the grains inventory reports, seasonal and weather patterns. Yeah, totally, RJ. Well, so now there is a split side to that, and that is this. If in the market where it is easy to find informational edges like that, that just means that the informational edge that you have is weaker, right? Like everybody that's trading that market, the majority of that, well, a lot of that action is going to be from farmers. So are you going to know more about it than the farmer? It's kind of hard. So the thing is in a market like that, there's certainly a lot of informational edges that you can find, but to find one that actually like truly gives you a leg up on the rest of the market, I think it's a little bit harder to find that information. Whereas with stocks in particular, there's a wealth of information, and that the situation there is different. There's so much information that no one person can really find it all. And so you just kind of have to go and find the piece that, you know, is out there, but the wider market doesn't know and trade on it. And you know what I mean? There's a trade off there. But either way, I think that, the end result is that if you understand the market, you're more likely to find good opportunities. Okay, so I see that Tesla went through the previous day's close, and after that just completely fell apart. Wow. So now let's zoom in here a little bit. Yeah, and especially once they reached 2000, there was like a real stop run below. And they're back to 2000. If they continue down, then I think you would have a really solidly confirmed downtrend for the technical traders. Hmm.
Plan B4 Trade says cannot put into words how all it sounds to me. From a European standpoint of view.
Yeah, it really does. Like a lot of it just really does seem crazy, don't you think?
RJ Wheel says that's a good point, Seth.
Why, thank you. Thank you very much. I really hope so. So this is a video. Let me post it again for you guys. Um, it's really important to me that this video does well. Is that, can I say it that way? Like, I think that there's so many new traders out there that don't know where to begin. And when I see people post this stuff on Reddit, they're like, go and read this technical analysis book or go and buy this price action trading system. And I think that you're setting people up on exactly the wrong course. Not that you couldn't direct people to a strategy or something that works, but what you're really doing is you're giving them a crutch, right? Because the end goal needs to be able to create your own strategies because you understand the market, right? So I think that if there was anything we could do to put beginning traders, start them out on the right foot, it's telling them that you really do need to understand the market, because so many people say the exact opposite. So many people say the exact opposite, that you don't need to understand anything about the market. So I put that video out there targeting new traders, and if that video did well, I think that it would make a big difference. So again, watch that video, watch it all the way through and give it a like. It's only a 5-minute video. Leave a comment on it. That would be a big help.
Yuri says did you trade Tesserae when they have problem about yields curve? Last year a think laughing face and what do you think about low interest rate?
It was funny that she was able to read that all correctly. Um, which you're totally fine, Yuri. So I do remember when we were having all of these issues with the yield curve. And you know what? At the time I was saying, the yield curve can give us false signals. I think that at the time that analysis was all totally right, because if it wasn't for this coronavirus thing, I think that markets would probably still be holding up okay. Of course, you're always going to get a pullback out of some kind at some point, but I don't know if things would have completely fallen apart or anything like that. So I don't know if we can read that one in the same way, even though statistically it's going to mark it as a win for the yield curve inverting, right? Um, but the low interest rates, I'm I don't know. They're going to be low for a long time, and that's the correct response for sure. But I'm really concerned about how sustainable some of the things that we're doing are, you know? Like in particular, we're uh, we're monetizing so much debt to do it that it's going to be a real drag on growth in the future. And I don't know if you can ever dig yourself out of that hole. I don't think anybody ever has, you know?
Paul Borg says, what do you think about algo trading? I don't understand why so
Oh,
many YouTube trading gurus are teaching 100% technical strategies, but they never backtest them to see if they are actually consistent.
dude, totally. Paul, this is, and I've been saying this in a lot of my videos. I think in the last 3 videos, I've made this point. There are robots out there that they have pieces. They say, okay, you have an indicator and you can compare this indicator to this, or you can do, they have building blocks, and then the robots just go in and they just randomly piece together the building blocks and then backtest it to see how effective that trading strategy was. And they go in and they're adjusting their strategies literally every day. So it's like any combination of technical indicators that you can possibly be thinking of, even so-called price action like support and resistance and stuff like that. They have robots that can see that stuff and back tested it. And so to me, just this whole idea that you can find this technical edge is kind of silly. You can't compete with those robots. You could go through, especially order flow strategies like level 2 stuff, because we don't really have historical level 2 data, right? So for me to test a technical edge that just has to do with level 2, that takes me like 2 weeks to do one. And these guys with robots that can save all of that data and backtest it, and they have a bunch of different programmers working on it, they could probably test a million different ways of doing it in one night. I can't keep up with that, right? That's why, I really think that watching level 2 and using the DOM is important, but I think that the biggest advantage of it is just being able to know where to execute, right? So I'm 100% with you, Paul. The entire idea of trying to trade something 100% technical, no wonder the majority of traders fail. It doesn't mean that you can't find one, and I've talked to some people that think that they have one and have been doing pretty good. It happens, but the chances of you actually finding it when the robots are backtesting so much stuff out there is like really, really low. You know, it's a much better setup because so many people are trading technicals. I think that it just makes it even more sense because of that to trade on the fundamentals, because what you're going to want to look for is a situation where the fundamentals disagree with everybody's technical setup. You know what I mean? Then you're going to, because all of those technical traders are going to take the other side of the trade for you, even though they're almost, there could be a situation where you 100% know that they're going to be wrong, right? That's a way better trade, man. And then I go on, like especially Reddit, and that's all I see is just trade a technical edge. Don't look at anything else. Ignore news. Yada yada yada. Oh, it drives me crazy. I'm totally with you. And I like to do the trading stuff, the backtesting stuff, because wait, hold on. The news squawk is just trying to explain why we've been moving down, and he's saying that he doesn't see any kind of fundamental driver right now. It's clearly probably a pullback. Did you watch the bookmap iceberg MBO I don't know if I've watched a video. Are you talking about their recent webinar on Futures IO? So let me tell you what. I think that there can be some real uses for market by order data that a lot of market participants aren't considering. So here's one thing that I will see is, okay, we can look at market by order. Of course, there was ways to see icebergs before, but there was no way to be able to see like how many different actual trade orders were in the queue before, right? Um, what can we pull through that? And the answer is we don't know. Like really, until you've gone through and you've done it, you really don't know. Because again, the market is all about innovation. That really the way that you get ahead of the game is you come up with new innovations that give you an advantage over the rest of the market. And um, I will see a lot of people come in and they'll say, well, here's this new idea or this new technology, but I don't think it's very useful. And it's like, how can you know without having gone through and trying to create the innovation? I see that a lot. And I will tell you straight up, the market by order data allows you to see stops, which is to mean that you can see when a market order hits that it was a conversion, that it was converted from a stop into a market order. That doesn't mean that you can see resting stops. So every time you get into that, you say, well, it doesn't let you see resting stops. Okay, guess what? I can predict where the resting stops are going to be. Okay, I don't care about that part. What I want to know is how many of them actually triggered compared to how many I expect to see. And I can tell you right now, if I had that ability in NinjaTrader 8, that it would improve my model and my trading. I know, because there are certain situations where, because I can't calculate the stops, it's hard to make a conclusion, if that makes sense. So yeah, there I think that there could be, who knows, all sorts of crazy stuff that maybe we'll pull out from market by order data. And I'm hoping that someday that will push to be able to see trader IDs. I think that there should be a trader ID attached to every order, and I should be able to see if I'm trading with the Bank of China. You know what I mean? I just, but is it a holy grail? No. I mean, and that's the kind of the other point, is that there really is no such thing as a holy grail in a competitive environment. That's like saying that there's a perfect way of playing basketball, right? Is there? Michael Jordan lost sometimes. You can be the best at the game and you can still lose, right? And was there anything that Michael Jordan did that like nobody else could do, and that was like his? No, it was, he was just really good at the game, and he did it better than everybody else. So the analogy of a holy grail, I doesn't make a whole lot of sense for trading, in my opinion.
Mike Salisbury says, I think on B6 Futures Exchange you can see that Brazil.
Yeah, probably because there's not a whole lot of large players in that. Because who doesn't want you to have that? It's the big player, right? He doesn't want you to know that he's been absorbing contracts and going long all morning. You know, it would put the balance in favor of the locals again. And locals would be doing so well, it would drag in a lot of money too. A lot of people trying to day trade it at that point, and then that would be very, very bad for the firms. You realize, right? If we could see trader IDs on every order, they don't want that to happen. But that's why we should push for it, because we would make money off of it. Okay, volatility is increasing a bit still. What else were you saying?
Mike Salisbury says the Fed never says they are straight up monetizing debt though.
But they haven't actually ever said that they're monetizing debt. I think that they have. Well, maybe that's something let's watch. Let's watch during Jackson Hole this week. What kind of language do they use?
Gary Rich says Eurodollar futures are pricing no rate hikes in Mar 22, Fed rate 20 BP, and December 22, Fed rate 25 BP. Paul Borg says yes, I totally agree. It blows my mind that people teach these strategies and say they work but they don't.
Well, people have a really strange way of deceiving themselves. We did a study. I still have it up. We should look at the most recent data, but I did a survey, and I asked, one of the questions I asked in there was, do you consider yourself profitable? And a full 50% said they were profitable, and another 25% said that they were mostly break even. I think that given the data that we have from brokers, the reality is that not 50% of traders are making money, right? So I think that people deceive themselves. They don't actually have the numbers in front of them so that they can deny it, and they can tell themselves that they're a good trader when they're not. And it's the same thing with these technical strategies, is there can be all these reasons that it doesn't actually work, and they can come up with a lot of excuses when it's not working, you know, and they don't actually know how it performs on a long enough time frame. So one of the things that I've found is really, really common is that a strategy will do well for like a quarter and then it will stop working. That's so like I will start doing well, like just trading discretionary. I'm trying to track different technical edges, and I say, oh, okay, this thing seems to be working pretty well. And then I'll backtest it and I'll see, oh yeah, it has been working really well. But if I go 4 years ago, it was doing terrible. So that's another way that we deceive ourselves. And there's a lot of people that are just want to make money from selling you a course. So of course they don't care to backtest it. They don't want to know, because then they couldn't sell it anymore. And yeah, they don't backtest. And that's why I push the programming stuff. Because if I'm mostly fundamentals, then why would you want to know programming? But the nice thing about the programming is you can go back, and when somebody says something, you can test it and you can show how it performs. And if it performs okay, like say you get something that is break even, but like has a high probability of happening, for instance. Or maybe let's take it another way. Um, it doesn't have a very high problem, like maybe it's 30-40% probability, but when you do get it, you have a really high risk to reward ratio, right? So I can do that, and then I can look for that trade, and I can look for a situation where it's in confluence with some fundamentals, you know, where I know that a piece of news came out. So now I can get that same risk reward trade, but I can increase the probability on it because I have something that actually directly affects the probability of it going my way. And then you're able to get trades that are high risk reward and high probability. That's why you want to be able to do it. Okay, so it looks like they have gotten back above the open and are trying to test the highs again. I actually think that they could go to 3404 on the downside. I'm just gonna let them battle it out. Maybe we'll just hold this until we gotta go. My back has not been doing very well. It keeps popping. Well, these bulls are not going to hold it forever. Now, something I'm seeing is that the treasuries very much went bid. Right, they're up on their highs of the day. That puts us back up to where we were on Friday. Man, what is going on? And that might be part of why it's being hard for them to really kill the E-mini, but man, you are, and we are seeing like um Jackson Hole type movement, like it is a little slow and choppy, but you kind of wonder, like, probably something's going to have to give here on one side or the other. Yeah. I look at it and I'm like, that can't last forever. But then it's like, it's Jackson Hole. So is anything going to actually happen? Curious. I'm going to continue. I want to look up on these Reddit threads. Writers had guns at one point. That's crazy. Now they're turning like full on bullishness again. I guess maybe I have to get rid of it. Huh? It might not give me a good price. I'm surprised that I was never able to get more than 55. Huh. So 5 points down. Well, let's see here. Oh, they loaded up too. Oh, now that's interesting. So what I'm noting.
PRT1 says 33.75 last Reese's it.
Okay, so what I'm able to see that you might not have noticed at first, but I'm sure that if you look back at your order flow indicators, you'll see the same thing, is that when we moved down, there was actually quite a bit of absorption. So there was quite a bit of buy the dip on it. And now on this move up, the shorts did not do the same. They basically pulled out of the way and let it move up. So on one hand, that says that not a lot of people want to short this. But on the other hand, that also means that there's a lot of buyers that are kind of stuck holding a bag right now. And when you look at the move up, I didn't see really enough volume on the way up to really say that those people that if they did buy the dip got out. So there's that dynamic. If we were to come back down and test the low of the day again, that's the kind of a setup that would be a really good potential for at the very least a double distribution day. At the very least, they would probably retrace the gap. So that means that you got a pretty good reward on the downside if it ever happens. Well, if I get the micros are getting pretty thick, by the way. If Trump wins, it's going to be catastrophic violence. Oh, it's a Democrat area. Okay, now maybe I'm seeing some short step up here. Hold on. We're certainly getting some clicking. Hmm. One of the things I'm noticing about this Kenosha thing is that there's a lot of people that are like reading the headline and then haven't watched the video because they think that the cops just randomly walked up to a guy and shot him in the back, when the reality was that they were like, uh, you know, had their hands on him and were trying to restrain him, and they used a taser on him and everything. Uh, Someone in the r/news thread saying that he passed away, but then people saying this morning that he did not.
Archie P says, what is the clicking?
The clicking is when I see a significant change in level 2. What do I have the filter set to, by the way? I forget. I think it's like 200. Oh, 100. So that means that more than 100 stacked or pulled on the level 2 at once. So it essentially is an indication of passive institutional activity. And it kind of colors it differently. So when it's the orange, that means that they added an offer, and when it's red, it means they pulled an offer. And similarly, the light blue is when they add a bid, and the dark blue is when they pull a bid. So when you see a lot of dark, right, like you see up here, it means that the market makers are pulling large orders, right? And that's most of what you see, except for when it was down here at the 3420 area. Oh, that was before. That was on the open. So that's a little different. Was that on the open? Oh, actually, it doesn't go back that far. Yeah. Okay, see, so somebody adding some offers, and then he pulled them off. He added it there, and then he pulled it off, and they traded through it. And that was a lot. That was
Archie P says,
425.
thanks, Grin.
It was a 425 that they had stuck on there. So I can't necessarily say what they're doing, but there are some institutional players doing something up here, aren't they? Nouriel Robini warns Wall Street euphoria ignores Main Street cash.
Mike Salisbury says that is a really cool indicator. You probably also notice icebergs in that tape pulling stacking indicator then? Gary Rich
You
says,
could,
question Seth.
potentially.
You want to sell indicators, your words, if you don't show you can make money with them. Is that legitimate or not?
Okay, good question. I think that when the issue with an indicator is that the indicator where I can give you this indicator and I can guarantee that you would make money with it is nonsense, right? What I can do is I can show you an indicator, and I can show you that that indicator allows you to see something that you didn't see before, right? And that is certainly what this market depth tape does, right? So can I tell you, like, oh, here's a strategy that you use the market depth tape when you see this particular pattern, and then you take it short and you'll win X% of the time, and this is your risk reward and all of that sort of stuff? Do you have to be able to do that to say to somebody that this is worth purchasing? I don't think that you do. So that's how I would look at it. It's showing you what I would give you guys would be, like the histograms down here on the bottom. So this is on the treasury. It shows this is kind of the same thing as a tape. It's showing you what the largest order was in that time. So you can kind of see where the large players are starting to get involved. So you can see that now here, as we've come down a tick, that the players in the 10-year are starting to get involved, right? So, and if I sell it, I wouldn't be selling it for like $1,000 or anything like that. So,
Mike Salisbury says, can you explain you cost basis indicator again? I also think that is awesome.
so the cost basis one is kind of I don't like talking about it because uh, the thing is I don't want to give that
Sunday
one
Driver
away
says
right
only
now.
Biden, Harris can save us.
One because it's not very refined, but two because I want to trade it. I want to continue trading it. These other ones we've been trading with those for like a year or more than now at this point. There's definitely like especially the market depth tape. I love that thing, man. I'd have a really hard time moving over to a platform where I wouldn't have that anymore. You know what I mean? Um, but so I don't want to go too much into the cost basis, but I will for your sake, Mike. Because somebody was arguing with me on one of the videos saying, oh, well, you can't really do that because, you can't say absolute. And I was saying, well, it is an estimate. So just think of it like this. Because I was thinking of ways to describe it, even though that particular individual was probably just trying to be difficult. Do I know exactly how many long positions and how many short positions there are out there? No, you can't. Without having the ability to see a trader ID attached to every order, we can't calculate how many open positions there are in something. You just can't do it. But what we can do is we can make best and worst case examples, right? So what would be the worst case? The worst case would be that every order that has been taken short right now, the person that took that trade was increasing a short position and they've held that short position on this whole time, right? So the maximum number of short positions in the market is equal to volume right now, right? That's like a worst case scenario, right? So now you can go through different scenarios. You can say, okay, well, but what if anytime that those shorts had the opportunity to take a profit, they did. And so then I can go back and I can look at that scenario. And you have a couple of different scenarios that are like best and worst case scenarios about things. And that's essentially how you get the lines. And so then you get, okay, this is best case scenario for the buyer's cost basis and the seller's cost basis. And these are like break even on the day for the buyers and sellers. So that's why when they tend to get below that line, you'll notice that they tend to snap back very quickly because that's like they're at that point. There's no based on this scenario, there is nobody that went long that's making money. So who is there to go short again? Right? Those are all longs getting washed out. It's likely to pull back because of that. And then that's essentially how it works. Does it mean that it has to flip there? No. I haven't back tested it. It's really hard to back test because you have to use tick replay. So I don't know what the
Gary Rich
probabilities
says,
are
if you
on
have
it
an
or
indicator
anything.
and can't explain a trade, strategy, etc., why should someone buy it? I might as well look at a blank piece of paper, same thing. Explain possible longs and short ideas from it.
I think that I'm providing you a tool that shows you something that you might not have been able to see before. So if you're sitting out there and you're saying, this is the way that I like to trade, but I have a really hard time seeing when the large players are getting involved with passive orders. And if I could see that, that would really help my strategy. And then you go and you look
RJ
for it and you
Wheels
say,
says, I thought you were off indicators?
here's the thing that shows you. Here's the thing that will show you that. So, and that would be why you would buy it. And if you want somebody to give you a strategy and to explain to you exactly how to trade it and show how much money they made with it, then don't buy it, I guess. I mean, I don't think that we can come up with any other, uh, what is the word? Any other argument other than that, right? RJ, well, I thought you were off indicators. Well, I don't trade just off of the indicator. What I'm using the indicator for is to try and determine what the market positioning is. So, you know, I'm essentially saying if we get below 34.18, then the market is net position short, essentially, or that the shorts are the ones that are in the green at that point. Is the way that I think of it. And that way I know, like, if a piece of information came out that was all of a sudden, like, I knew was really bullish, I'm way more likely to take it because I know that the market is positioned the other way, and so that's going to create a bigger reaction. You know what I mean? So I still think you want to use technical analysis, but I think that the technical analysis is not the reason that you take the trade. The technical analysis just helps you see, like, the current conditions when you do see a
Gary
trade,
Rich
you know?
says I can draw circles on a piece of paper and come to the same conclusion. If someone explains a possible long-short idea, I can think about it.
Okay, well, what are you suggesting that I do, Gary? I suppose I could just not sell the indicator, but you guys all want it. Like, this is the thing. People ask me about it every day. So clearly people see value in it. Seems like almost every day. Well, they're coming down there, but the buyers are still kind of fighting to hold it. I mean, one of the things is I think that there's
Uzi
varying
Knesset
levels.
says I'm still using it. There's definitely value in it.
Oh, the cost basis thing is totally different, Uzi, because we're not talking about selling that. Here's the thing with the cost basis. That is something that is like, um, well, I don't know. The problem with the cost basis thing is that I don't know what the effect on the market is if everybody has that. Okay. With the market depth tape, I think that really that's an edge that's already out there. And it's really more something that you should be aware of. But I don't think that it can, like, outright predict what's going to happen. I'm not sure any technical indicator really truly can. But a technical indicator could potentially influence how the market trades. And I'm just saying that cost value basis thing, I don't know what kind of effect it would have on the
Gary
market.
Rich says I don't know you're the one selling it. I just asked questions you seem to ask those other traders.
Oh, sure. Well, so so you're talking about maybe a little bit two different things, right? So if I was going to sell a trading course and I had specific strategies in that course, then you would definitely want that person to show you some evidence about whether it worked or not, for sure, right? Now, I'm writing a course right now. I think that we might actually work a little bit on it during the stream later in the week if things continue to be slow. But I'm planning on offering it for free, is my intention. And it's not going to be specific strategies. It's going to be all fundamental information about the markets is my intention with that. Okay. So that's one thing. Now on an indicator, I think that the with an indicator that the burden of proof that you have on the person that is trying to sell you something is a little bit different, right? I think that they have to show you, um, like if somebody sold me an indicator, like if I sold people the cost value basis, and I told them absolutely nothing about how it works, then I'm gonna really have to provide a lot of information to show that it actually is useful. Because at that point, you're selling a strategy, right? You're telling them, just trust me and this will work, right? But if I'm coming out and I'm saying, here's what it does, here's how it works, and what it's intended to show, then you, the person that's purchasing it, have the ability to go in and say, okay, what is it actually telling me about the market? Is that something that would actually be useful to my trading, and how useful would I find it? And then you can make that determination on your own about whether you want to purchase it or not. And of course, the more that you're spending on it, the larger that burden is, right? Because here's the thing, people put together indicator sets that are like literally just different types of moving averages, for instance, right? And they might charge, a certain price for it. And like, I'm like, if the price is reasonable and you find those indicators useful to you, then that's a totally legitimate thing to buy, right? So that's kind of where I'm getting at. So I'm explaining how it works to you. I'm watching what I keep track of what the level 2 is. And if I get a new level 2 update that is significantly different from that, then that's how I determined that that was a significant change. And then I highlight that to you. I'm just displaying information to you that was always there but wasn't displayed very effectively. Up to you if you find that that's valuable to you or not. I find it valuable. I don't find it predictive, but I do find it valuable. Fair enough. And I am going to sell it.
Yuri says you indicator based on volume and time.
Which one the market depth tape is based off of level 2 changes, not volume. My cost basis indicator is based off of volume, yes. Really kind of more cumulative delta. In some ways, you can think of it as the opposite of cumulative delta. Okay, so now that they've tested the downside, they come back to the open, and it's starting to really... oh, did my data just die there? There we go. We're okay now. I think that I just had a temporary... Okay. Anyways, so many of you guys have been asking me to do it that I did a little bit of work over the weekend, and I'm going to have to talk to the Ninja Trader guys, but I'm working on getting that available to you soon.
Uzi Knesset says at the end of the day, all any indicator does is create a set of opportunities off which you build a risk profile. Searching
Sure.
for predictive indicators will just drive you nuts.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, that's the thing is can a technical indicator really truly be predictive? I'm not so sure it can be. I think I'm kind of getting to the point where I don't think it can be. You might find periods where it predicts the action pretty good, but then if it became
RZH
popular,
says,
it would
I
stop
just
doing that.
happened to open your stream. Do you provide trial like 1 week or so?
I don't know. I'm gonna have to look into that. I'm gonna have to look into how they do that. But if it's, I'm gonna talk to Ninja Trader today, and if they have ways of doing that I can build into the indicator, then I'll do that. Sure, I'll give you like a 1 week trial or something. Totally.
Gary Rich says okay, good explanation, good luck. Not hating, just asking. You didn't do the same to Davies, Grady, or Nord to show their results, but you still bought their stuff.
Well, I never bought Norton's stuff. Like that is kind of the line is like, to me, for $1,000, you really got to prove to me that I'm buying something that's going to provide value to me, Like, the more that I'm spending, the more value it has to provide. That's why I'm like, okay, if I put this up for like $50, does this indicator provide you enough value to be worth a one-time fee of $50? I think absolutely. Does Gary Norton's course provide enough value to me, to Seth Ellis specifically, to be worth $1,000? I don't
Gary
know.
Rich says 1K is cheap.
Yeah. To me, it's a lot. I know that you want to say, but let's just think about where I'm at, right? To me, $1,000 is not cheap. To me, $1,000 is a lot that I could spend on my account instead of a course. Especially if I take the course and I don't actually get anything out of it that I don't already know. You know, the No BS day trading course, that was when I didn't know
Yuri
anything.
says which language did you use to create you indicator?
It's in C#. It's a NinjaTrader indicator, so everything is done in C# on NinjaTrader. When I bought No BS day trading, I didn't really know a whole lot, and so that was very
Knesset
valuable
says not
to
everyone
me.
is an octogenarian like you at Gary Rich tongue out.
Yeah. I found that really useful, and that's
Gary
why I
Rich
recommend
says
it to
1K
new traders.
expensed over 12 months is very cheap.
Yeah, maybe. That was really useful. I think that's really useful to new traders because it kind of explains a certain game, and then you can use that information to assist you in analyzing the markets, watching it, and learning how things actually work, right? So I find that valuable. Okay. Now, platform is different. Okay. The ability to enter orders
Knesset says
is
that's
valuable. The ability to enter orders, that is valuable. That is regardless of what your strategy is, you have to have a way to enter orders. And so having an effective way to enter orders, that is worth money. That is easily worth $500 or $1,000. And so that's totally different. Nobody has to come in and prove to me, okay, how much money do Jigsaw users make on average? I don't care. What I care about is that it executes orders, that it does what it says that it does effectively. And it does. It's in my opinion, the most effective execution platform for DOM trading. The only thing that is comparable is trading technologies, and trading technologies is superior to Jigsaw in many ways, but the ways in which it's superior are things that I don't really use. So, right? So that's the difference on that. There's a platform, because I can put any indicator, I can put any strategy on a platform, right? Just the platform just allows me to actually do the thing, and that's valuable. Yeah. That's also why, by the way, when it comes to like what sort of things am I willing to promote and so forth, that I'm always, if it's a platform or a broker, because every trader can make use of that, then I'm totally willing to do it. If it's an indicator or a chat room, I say no. There's also, you know what? I keep getting emails from people trying to promote Forex. Like I don't trade Forex, and I don't recommend it, and I'm not going to get together with a group that does. I did have guys that were stocks. I should go back and look at that one again, because see what their platform is, because I just haven't found a platform with stocks that I thought was truly great. Like Thinkorswim, there's some nice things about it, and at the time it was truly great, but I don't think it holds a candle to NinjaTrader. Interactive brokers, there's some nice things about it, but it's not truly great.
Says trading Forex. Put a blindfold on and hurl money at a wall.
Right. Well, and this is why I'm having such a hard time with trading the treasury futures, because I feel like that trading treasury futures right now is basically like trying to trade Forex. It's like you're trying to see what the actual money flow between countries is right now. I can't predict that. It's a crapshoot. Kind of makes me think about the treasuries a bit, like, okay, how much of that flow from before really was just, the money flow? And how can I build an edge on that? Because right now, if you don't have an edge in that, I don't think you're making money in the treasuries, Hard. Trading the treasuries is hard right now. Unless you're like market making and taking stuff at every price, and then you're probably pretty easy, actually. Because I've been finding when I was experimenting with that like it'll go down 3 and then it'll come back up 3, and you just take them all the way down and all the way back up and you're fine. And it almost doesn't even matter which direction you take it most of the time, because they'll give you a chance on both sides. So everybody makes money if you can put on enough risk, that is. Okay, so they're trading down there. They didn't
Uzi
quite make a
Knesset
new low
says
yet.
it's been very slow this year. It hasn't been terrible, but yeah, harder than normal, I'd agree with.
Oh yeah, ever since March, I've had using the cost basis, I've been able to make some good trades in the treasuries, but I'm still not confident enough in it to take live trades in treasuries. No way. It just seems like, one, the opportunity is not there, and two, that I just don't understand enough about what's moving it.
Uzi Knesset says I have tongue out.
So you have made money off of it, huh? As the other thing is, like, how much proof is enough for you? Like, if I was gonna buy an automated trading system, okay, this would be like the highest burden of proof. If I'm gonna buy an automated trading system from somebody, they better have at least 4 years of data of like 4 years back tested and 1 year live or something like that before I would even consider it. French nudist resort hit by coronavirus outbreak as 100 naturists test
RZH
positive.
says e-week she trades.
Uzi Knesset says yeah. I mean, I don't want to make it sound perfect because it certainly isn't, but the way my brain works, it's all reference points.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally, like, when I look at the cost basis, at first it shows me things that I think a lot of people see and think, oh, that's predictive. That they see in things like Bollinger Bands and stuff like that. But I think that when you actually go through and do the stats, you'll find it's not predictive. But it tells you something super important, that I I have always kind of caught myself in this kind of like fuzzy zone where it's like, okay, we just had a really strong move down. Did the shorts take profits there? Is the amount of, or are there more people taking longs here that need to puke, and like I can see absorption here, but I don't know how much of that absorption could be people buying it looking to play it long, and how much of those are people that were taking the shorts off.
PRT1 says it.
And with this
PRT1 says the
indicator,
nudists are all thinking it was worth. Uzi Knesset says it's
Oh,
up to
hold
me
on.
whether or not I take a risk when prices get to them. It's on me how much I risk, and it's on me how many trades I take. No matter how good any indicator is, anyone can mess up those things.
yeah. With this indicator, of course, I can't know 100% sure
RZH
certain
says
things,
5 trades is enough to me.
but I can at least judge those against each other, relatively speaking, and actually make decisions about it now. Instead of, whereas before it was like I was just completely
RJ
clueless.
Wheel says do nudists wear masks? And if so, are they then not nudists?
Oh my gosh, RJ. That's a good question. I would think that probably they would, though. Like, I don't know. The question is how much social media interaction do nudists have? Oh no, you know what's happening is we're getting the delayed, like the message readouts aren't coming through very quickly anymore. Oh no, you put a star in front of it. That's why. Okay, they gonna test this low again?
Vlad Stolyarov says ZM just released its outage news and think or swim good time for shorts to cover minus 4.3%.
You were totally on that one, Vlad. That's good. You know what? Because here on the stream, I don't know how, because I don't trade the stocks, but we have a
Gary Rich
stock
says
trading.
do nudists get COVID if some coughs on their private parts?
We have a stock trading channel in Discord, and I think that people would really appreciate that kind of stuff. Ooh, okay. So this is running into the situation that I was predicting, right? And the way that they just broke that low is confirming the scenario that I had set up, that the buyers tried. They really tried to buy the dip. I think that's the only way I can read that. Was they bought the dip, it went up, they weren't able to hold
RJ
it, and I
Wheels
said if
says
they have
nudist using
another
hand sanitizer
low,
could get carried away.
they have another low, then I think that we have to look at least a gap closing and some sort of double distribution. Okay, now the other thing that I'd have to say is that I do have to. This is
Gary
like
Rich
right
says yikes,
here.
that must hurt.
Yeah. So the question is, how much media interaction do nudists have? Like, do nudists regularly read the internet and have cell phones and stuff like that? I mean, they're not Amish or anything. Okay, so that was a good decline. They're gonna try and pull back now. I'm getting a little bit of clicking again as some bids get added down there at 34.11. So are nudists watching the news, and do they, how much do they know about masks? I would think that a nudist would tend to be left leaning, and left leaning people are much more likely to wear masks. So I could make a guess that probably they do wear masks. I don't think that makes them not a nudist, but whatever. The NHC sounds like a day trader now. Its latest update on Hurricane Laura. The regional hurricane models remain quite bullish on intensification. Tweets Forex Live. That's funny. Facebook agrees with France to pay 106 million euros in back taxes. Woo, ugly. So I didn't have a negative effect on Facebook. That just hit. Let's move over here to FB. Boom, sell that. Yeah. Wait, we need to come back to a 1 minute chart. I don't know if that's like a huge effect on this chart, but we could maybe sell it. Well, let's just say for the sake of argument, well, not for the sake of argument, but for historical purposes, let's just say that we could have sold it at 27, and we'll just track and see if that was enough, if that news is enough to move Facebook or not from here. You might say if it does work out that the broader market was down and that was part of it too. So
PRT1 says conservative nudist sandals, shorts, shirt, mirrored glasses, and binocs.
So if they get below
Chichikov says
26.6,
nudists mostly play tennis outdoors, don't they?
Wait, really? I don't know. How do you guys know so much about nudists? To me, that's like a lot to know about nudists. I know you you don't know anything about them like me. This reminds me of that time when I revealed to you guys that stripper poles spin. Conservative nudists wear sandals, shorts, a shirt, mirrored glasses, and binoculars. Oh, okay.
RZH says, did you take a trade yet?
Oh, I've been
RJ
short all
says
morning.
can't use smartphones at resort. Don't ask why, I know.
I have I've been short on the E-mini all morning. Took profits on it, but I've been short all morning.
RJ Wheels says volleyball is the sport of choice.
Yeah.
Chichikov says every single film I've seen with nudists, they are playing tennis. For the
Wait,
jiggles, I assume.
What movie have you seen with nudists in it? What's the downside fixed target? 33.94. So I'm not sure.
Gary Rich says all the nude beaches in SoCal I've been to. Gravity has been very cruel.
33.95. Oh, that's actually probably the better target. Okay, fine. I normally wouldn't push one this far, but that's what it says. They fill the gap. The gap and the VIX target are the same spots.
PRT1 says Han at 3,394. PRT1 says Haven.
RZH says, did you use your indicators for that one short on a mini?
It played a significant role in it, yes. It played I saw that we
Block
were
sell.
really up big overnight, and I knew why we were and what the weekend situation was. So I knew that there was a really good chance that we were going to retrace it. And then when I looked at my price cost basis, I saw that the longs were really extended and that I could take a short there fairly safely. And so that's why I took it where I did and as early as I did. Hmm. Oh, that's interesting. Somebody was just telling me that they also went short, but they did it off of the floor pivot.
Chichikov says there are nudists in the anti-union satirical film I Am All Right, Jack.
Okay, well this time the pullback seems a little bit better. Is that back above that first low? What was that first low? Was 34.12. Okay, so it is, in fact. But we broke it and then we broke lower again. So that pullback off of that first one was
RZH says I was long 34K and closed at 15.
I was long 34K and closed at 15. That I don't understand. That was not in the E-mini, was it? There are nudists in the anti-union satirical film I'm All Right, Jack. I've not okay. By the way, I'm gonna be like super spammy today, but I have a video out today for beginners. If you haven't given it a watch, give it a watch and a like. That really helps the video out. And
Speculator
I'm
Seth
really
Day
hoping
Trading says.
Does well
Live
for
Action
the new
says I think
traders.
it would be a fair bet if many here were at a nudist beach they could defy gravity. RJ Wheels says I thought Seth was a trading nudist. Naked chart sans indicators just trading newswire.
So that brings me to another thought I wanted to talk about today, and I'm glad you reminded me. I keep seeing this thing that is like when I got rid of all of the indicators on my chart and just started trading pure price action, I started doing better. I see that a lot. And I wonder, is it because price action alone is so effective, or is it because that's actually causing them to rely more on fundamentals and news, and they just don't realize it? Hmm? What do you think about that theory? You think I'm wrong? RJ says I think price action is very effective.
RJ Wheels says I think price action is very effective. Gary Rich says Bloomberg EU faces resurgence of coronavirus. Brexit talks break down.
You know what, Gary? These are two great observations. I didn't really talk about them.
RZH says I long 3400到3415 and didn't happen to trade after that.
Oh, okay. I gotcha. Now that's a good trade if you got that. I wasn't so sure. So tell me, Gary, because I was aware of both of those stories. I read them in my morning briefing. When I was looking at the Brexit one, that the Brexit one concerns me more. Okay. The Brexit one I find a little concerning because the UK guys are basically saying that what the EU is trying to force in its negotiations would basically be the same as if there was no Brexit. And so it would defeat the whole point of Brexit. So it was not sounding so good. And if they don't get a deal, if they get no deal, that's not good for the UK economy. I don't know if it's a huge deal for the global economy, but it's certainly not a bullish thing. So that one is like a for sure negative, but it's unclear the impact on that one. The other one was rising coronavirus cases in the EU. Now, this one, I'm not so sure that that is a bad thing or not. Like, or let me rephrase. I think we've known for a week or two that the EU was going to have some sort of a resurgence, right? I think that at this point you should be able to do the math and calculate out how many people have been have been infected and won't catch it, and figure out where the maximum of that peak was. So I think that Europe should see something very similar to what happened in Arizona and Texas here in the United States. But here's the big but, is that when that was happening in the United States, it wasn't like the end of the world, right? So the markets kind of shrugged it off for the most part. I guess during that time there were periods where the numbers would come out and the market would react very negatively to them. But I'm not so sure that it's really a big deal. And so that one, if it's in Europe, is probably even less of a deal to us. So that one, I'm not sure if that's a clear negative. That was my thinking on it. But I kind of thought, well, the reason that they're up is because of the therapeutic treatment. And that one is a clear positive. But again, that's like, I don't know about the impact, because I think that we're going to make a full recovery. There's going to be a virus and there's therapeutic and all of that stuff, I think, is already priced into the market. And really, it's just that the robots love that. And so that, of course, they took us up overnight. But then I was like, okay, but there's no way they can hold that price. And that was kind of the logic behind this trade. But like I said, I think it's so slow and everything. I don't think that I would be. This one is a sim trade. Where are the big guys initiating? They are the big volume. Well, they were initiating there in the treasuries. Did you see it? Remember when I told you guys? Okay. So to Gary's question earlier, like, what would be a strategy that you would take? The most simple way of using this histogram is wait for the big orders to show up and fade with them. So you can see here it came down. That means that probably this uptrend is over. And sure enough, they came back down the other side very aggressively. In the E-mini, I'm not so sure. I haven't found that to be as effective in the E-mini. kind of had it on there for a long time, and the results that it was giving me were kind of meh. Brexit talk breakdown means bearish to the British pound. Yes, I think so, right? I would say it's also bearish the euro, though. The dollar has been strengthening this whole time. Even with this E-mini pullback, the dollar hasn't really backed off. If it comes back up here, I'm going to try taking it again. Now, here's an interesting divergence that I've never seen or noticed before. We're on the top of an upswing, fairly good upswing in the E-mini. And
PRT1 says
leveling
it's
off a
only
bit.
bearish as the rest of the countries stay in union. I think Italy next to leave.
Okay. But up and flattening off. But when I look at the tick, I can see that the tick is very negative right now. So that must mean that the majority of stocks are still moving down, but that those big tech companies and everything are holding. And I guess we could also point out, we need to come back over here. Tesla did break through that 2000 and there was a bit of chaos and stops, but since then it's kind of been doing this. Well, that's as low as it's going to go today, sort of a thing. We don't actually know that, but that's just kind of the way it's trading at the moment. And Facebook, we said 26.6, right? No. 20, it was 27. So it's still at 27. But it did go a little bit lower, but it didn't go below our point at which we said it needed to do it for us to know that piece of news that hit really did affect it. And since it's not happening yet, and it's been like 30, 45 minutes, I'm going to say that would not have been a good trade.
Gary Rich says at live, yes, it will add small volatile moves. COVID is more in focus presently, but Brexit is not getting much attention.
Where's that fly is still in here? So a little bit of downturn again, but it's still kind of holding the zone. Oh, this was on a different.
Chichikov says I think everyone has Brexit fatigue by now. COVID is less boring. Gary Rich says if the world's COVID cases keep rising, which they will, the M currencies will have to cut rates another time.
Okay. I think you're probably right, Gary. Like, let me see if I understand what you're saying correctly. If Germany continues on the path that the United States was in, and they have a breakout comparable to what we had in Arizona or Texas, maybe not even quite as bad as those, but still, a breakout of some sort, then they will likely shut down again. But even if they don't shut down, it will probably be bearish for their economy overall. And in order to save their economies, they're going to print more money. And you believe that, in fact, they would have to reduce interest rates again. Maybe even, I mean, they're like practically a zero anyways, right? Maybe they're going to have to go negative. But then that would have a really, really negative effect on the euro currencies, which would really reinforce the significant amount of dollar
Yuri says
strengthening that we're
negative.
seeing right now. Yuri, don't believe that?
Gary Rich says sorry
Oh, okay.
Mexico, Brazil, Argentina, India, and ASEAN countries.
Okay, so when I'm just thinking about how far the virus has gone in those countries, like I'm pretty sure that Brazil just had a full-on outbreak, and I don't know if they're on the other side of the curve now, but I think that their curve is just going to flatten and go down. I don't think that the others are.
Mike Salisbury says anyone see Croodles die this weekend? It was quite good. Chigral had an interesting DX idea, related to currency in
Didn't see
Sudan
that.
running
I
out
don't
of
know what you're
reserves.
talking about. Oh, crude delis.
PRT1 says zero rates coming to the world. Only way out without gold-backed dollar.
I haven't. I saw it was recommended to me, but I haven't watched it yet. Some of those, I really like Anthony Crudeli. It was just there was one video. You know what? It wasn't
Rich
Anthony's
says Kai
fault.
Girl is very good.
There was one guy, and I'm not even gonna say which one it was, but there was one guy that's quite well known came on, and I felt like he didn't say anything of value, and I was like, this is the dumbest video. And I hadn't watched any of those since, but I probably should catch up. India had a pretty full on breakout too. So are the number of cases there still rising?
Mike Salisbury says you talking about Dalton, aren't you, lol?
I'm talking about Dalton. You got me, Mike. I don't like to call out legitimate people by anybody by name, because that just leads to unnecessary drama. But yeah, I thought that his comments in that video were so not helpful. Like, he didn't say anything. I was like, what the heck? How is this the same guy that wrote that book? How? I didn't understand at all. You know what? Sometimes he says things on Twitter a lot of the time too that I'm like, okay.
Mike Salisbury says not anymore. Mike Salisbury says, well, I get it. I gave that guy a lot of my money.
Really? I remember very early on in the stream, and I had read that book, and we were talking about it on stream, and somebody told me that when he got together with another guy and they back tested it all, and then they found out that none of it worked. Which is kind of funny. I think that it does provide you something really useful, right? It's a way of looking at the markets that I think a lot
Gary
of people
Rich
neglect.
says yes. The likely is another resurgence in those countries. They will have to massive stimulus again, forcing another rate cut.
Okay. So I'm not so my initial gut reaction to that is I don't think that most of those emerging market countries will really have another resurgence. But I'm going to back off from saying that for now and just say I should do some more research on that, because I thought that India and Brazil in particular had full on outbreaks and were on the other end of the curve. If they're not, and they still haven't seen the peak of their outbreaks, then I think you might have a good trade there. But at the moment, I'm more concerned about the euro. I'm concerned about the euro because they shut down their economies and then they're going to get infected again. And are they going to shut it down? Well, so far they haven't been doing that, but they haven't been telling that to the populace. They've been playing this political game. I think is something that could really fly back and hit you in the face. See, so like if Donald Trump had taken the case that we need to shut down the country and crush the curve, and then after we shut things down and we did it for a couple of weeks, and then remember how we was like, okay, now we need to reopen the economy. Let's just assume that he never did that. That the governors just kind of, everything stayed the same. Like when countries, states opened and everything, but they just did it on their own. And Donald Trump never said anything like that. In fact, he said that we need to really be careful about this, and like said the same things that the euro had, right? I think that if he had done that, and then we still had these outbreaks in Texas and Arizona, it would have been very devastating to him politically. Because then it would have been like, we did what you said and it didn't work. I think that that's
TRT1
more
says the
negative.
Euro Union will eat itself for politics.
Could be. The Euro Union will eat itself for politics. I don't know, man. I feel
TRT1
like
says you have to keep economy going.
I certainly feel like that the market gives the politicos in the euro too much credit. Like if they're doing something in the euro, that's always the smart positive thing, and the market always thinks that they're always doing the right thing. And it's very different from the way that they treat politics here in the United States, isn't it? Because I think that the way that some of these countries handled the pandemic was probably way more damaging than it needed to be. Could be wrong, but
Gary Rich says Europe will be okay. It's the initial reaction again, when people allowed to come back out. It's like whack-a-mole. This is in the next 3 months I'm speaking of.
Europe will be okay. It's the initial reaction again when people allowed to come back out. It's like whack-a-mole. This is the next 3 months I'm speaking of. Okay. You don't think that it's a problem? I'm I'm concerned about like an Arizona. I mean, how much of it do you think that do you think that an Arizona like breakout is possible in Arizona? Or sorry, in Germany? Let's say Germany, because they're like how do we want to put it? They're like the strongest economy there, right? They're the one that everybody looks to as the best example and everything. So what if there was an Arizona level breakout in Germany? Maybe you're right. Maybe it wouldn't be a huge
Ace Trade
deal
says should be long
economically speaking.
3,416.00.
Oh, really? Really? Mm, I suppose I see it, but that one is super tepid. Ace. There wasn't a lot of divergence for that one. What I'm seeing at the moment is that we are at a spot. Um, we're basically back to the shorts break even, and so this is a spot where they could potentially bounce down again. And if the Bears really are going to continue to be bearish all day, and I do believe that they want to fill the gap, I think that they'll try pushing down again. Even if they don't, then we're probably, we could cross a spread, and the other side of the spread is, I should stop calling it the spread, but the difference between buyers and sellers, and that would take us up to 34.20. So what was this guy saying?
Gary Rich says Europe has been doing a decent job in these difficult times.
Who would call me? Somebody from California. I don't want to talk to people from California. Man. Well, we got 3 minutes here. Okay. So did you see the way they slipped there at 34.16? That was interesting. You could see how as soon as they went there, like the base of the tape immediately increased, and then they started going down more.
Ace Trades says crap. PRT1 says anyone one use swing chart from JT.
I mean, I haven't been using it, but I definitely pulled it up and looked at it, and it looked like it was okay. To be honest, I feel like that the I don't know. I want to see what they got when they get a footprint chart in Jigsaw, but so far it's been like, well, they're okay charts, and I think for most people, that would be more than enough to use, and then they wouldn't have to have a charting platform. But for me, it just isn't even close to being able to accomplish the things that NinjaTrader does for me. So I was a little disappointed in that respect, but I think that I had some expectations that weren't really realistic, you know? I thought that there was gonna be much more innovative things in the charting than there has been. Okay. Oh, he didn't this guy was saying that he didn't want to read Trading in the Zone because he thought that it meant something to do with, like, trading a certain area and, like, a certain strategy, and he didn't realize that it was a book about psychology. That's that's funny. This is Bill. There's a guy that's commented on a lot of our videos. Okay. So a
Mike
big
Salisbury
buy
says, how is
coming
the
in
ninja
there.
footprint? Everyone seems to be all on this Sierra chart.
I think I really like here's the footprint in Ninja Trader. I wouldn't say it's the best footprint or anything, but I've really liked it. So that was a really aggressive down, and
Mike
the up has
Salisbury says, I
been
used to use Gomi
just
footprint
as
before in Ninja. That was all right.
yeah. I think the difference between these footprints is really just how it looks. There was some things about I think it was the Gomi footprint that I thought looked nicer, but I digress. So what I'm seeing right here looks like a
Mike
price
Salisbury says
action.
people are
So
talking a lot about footprint imbalance levels. Have you used that at all? Gary Rich
no,
says many may not like this. All countries will have to fiscally stimulate for months to come. The deficits can be worried after this event is over. To many people hurting.
yeah. You know what, Gary? I don't know. That's something that really confuses me because I see it the same way and the market just ignores it. So it's like either it doesn't matter as much as we think it does, or I mean, I don't know the answer. It just seems like there's got to be more to it. So volume imbalance. So like here on this chart, I think one of them is down here at the bottom. There was 1923 sold into it in 1242. Um, but I think what you might really be talking about is a situation where like nothing printed on this side and there was like something printed into that. And I've seen somebody on Reddit posting a lot of charts where they show, look, here's a volume imbalancing, and then it went the opposite way. And that to me looks very much like, after the fact analysis. I think that if you were to actually go back through historically and point out every location that something like that has ever happened, and then find out where it goes and everything else like that, I think that you would find that there's probably a skewed risk reward to it, but that the expectancy of it is largely break even. So, and had people that I knew some people that talked about that sort of stuff a lot, and I've always just like I've had a really hard time seeing how it matters because it just doesn't seem to be a consistent thing to me. It's the same thing with this price action. Like what we're getting right now is like um, return back to a significant level, failure of that level, and then swing back up. So I think that there's a bunch of price action traders buying it here. Well, it's past 9:30, so I think that I should get out, huh? Because okay, fine. I do think that they could go to 33.95. Maybe, I would like to hold it, but I don't want to be distracting myself when I should be working or anything like that. So I think that we need to say and just follow the good things, and we got a good trade and it could have been better, but it's okay. We could have held this longer and see what happens. So we'll see if they close that gap or not. We have to be able to separate stock markets from the economy, people's lives, and getting back to work are not the markets. That's true. That's true. But at some point, if that is the way that things are going for everybody else, at some point it will affect the markets, Because otherwise, where's all the business going to come from? I don't know. Oh, what do you say to someone who says CPI is fake and inflation is running at 10% year over year based on shadow stats? So sorry for being off topic. Yeah, so there's this whole big thing that there's this argument that the CPI number includes too much transportation and not enough food. That's why there's another measure. When we get the numbers come in, there's always the core CPI, which excludes automobiles. So for the purposes of our trading, that's not a factor. That's really more of an economics argument. That really comes down more into when you're looking at a big picture economic analysis of the economy, and we come in and we say, well, we're not getting consumer price inflation, and they say, well, actually we are, and that's where they're getting that from, is that if you change the CPI measure to a certain thing, but then that just comes down to then you have to have an argument about what should CPI actually include, and it's not like there's not like some magic thing that we have out there that tells us that this is really what CPI should be, right? I mean, they changed it to what it is they have an argument for having it one way and they have an argument for having it another way. And that's where if you're going to do your large macro analysis, it's useful to look beyond just the numbers, right? It's useful to actually open up that report and look at it and see which sectors were increasing in price and which sectors were decreasing in price. It's a good question, Mike. Have to answer that one because that's a good question. That's the kind of stuff we want to talk about. Trickle down, yeah. I don't know if I'm not a believer in the. So I do believe that when the economy overall does well, that's going to benefit everybody, and that prosperity does trickle down to other people because it creates more opportunities for people. But I do not believe in the idea that if you give some benefit to the upper class, for instance, you charge them less taxes or you give them a stimulus or something like that, that does not necessarily trickle down to the consumer, right? There's a lot that you have to do and has to happen in order for that to happen. And I think that what we've seen the past 10 years is that it doesn't. That they just hoarded it and that it didn't make it all the way down. So probably there's some more fundamental things that need to happen. I think eventually they will happen, though. I think that it bothers me that the large corporations are doing so well right now because I think that in the future we're going to have a much more democratized economy. I think that you're going to see more small companies because it will be easy for anybody to go in and manufacture something, So, anyways, you guys are a good conversation, but I think it's time for me to get going. So, again, I'll just post the link here one more time. I have a video here for beginning day traders that talks about how the first thing that you really should be doing as a beginner is reading about your market and understanding the markets and how they work and learn that fundamental information. So I believe this is an important message for beginners to have because I think it's the most useful thing they could know, and it's something that I don't really see people saying. And there's a lot of people asking for direction, and they're not really getting it. So I'm hoping that this will be a video that's really useful to people. And so I really appreciate it. You go in and watch that video, give it a like and a comment so that that video can do well and can accomplish that task. So thank you guys so much. Good stream. It's going to be a long week, guys. Going to be a long week. Oh, they came back down to 16 again. I don't know. I do think they could make it to the 33.95. We'll see. Tomorrow, stay profitable.